Hey this is Dave Decide. Today I want to get into V basically saying enough and flipping the middle finger, at least fans believe this. We also have Jin and people fearing his safety is at risk over a new rumor of South Korea going to war. And then we have BTS on legal papers, I'll explain that. So hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on, grab your dumpling, taste spilling mug merch, and your limited time edition Christmas sweater. Proceeds of that will go to charity, and let's get into it. BTS has made some big impacts on the world. I think one sign of success is when you start appearing in textbooks. This not only shows you to an audience that may not know you, but gives you exposure to a group of people that will exist there long after the celebrity is not famous anymore. For example, Marilyn Monroe and Elvis are often taught in history books, and it's one of the reasons we still speak on their name to this day. And it's kind of impossible not to come across any of the celebrities' names when reading history, because Marilyn literally slept with the president. BTS has long reached that point, and they are now being seen as people who have changed the course of culture. Their political and economic impact to South Korea has been so major, and they're now taught in school. An ARMY went viral after it appeared that a law school bar exam had mentioned HYBE and BTS. Of course, it was a made-up question, but situations like this wouldn't be completely uncommon for a lawyer to face given the impact BTS has. When you start impacting a lot of people, that is when you need a legal team. HYBE also has a stock and things like that, so of course these things can get very legal very fast. The question that the bar exam asked didn't say Suga but said Yoongi. That paired up with HYBE Inc. and BTS Inc. of course insinuate that this was a BTS related question. I can't say what the answer to this question is. To be 100% honest, I don't even understand the question. But that is why those lawyers get paid the big bucks. Of course, if this was a real question and not just something drawn up to go viral, it is very believable given the context and everything I just mentioned. But there is also a chance this could be made up, because I don't know, do people take their bar exam on their computer, or doesn't it have to be in person? I'm not sure. So take this with a grain of salt, but I do personally believe it could be real. I think going forward, the history books will be using BTS a lot as an example. Even just historic moments like BTS winning the Cultural Merit Award and standing next to the president are things that will go down in history and likely show up in textbooks all over the world. If not all over the world, likely in South Korea. I would also assume BTS at the bare minimum could receive 1 or 2 lines referencing them in the textbook as potential leaders in K-pop or the Korean music industry. I hope the members enjoy all this and really take a moment to understand their impact. When your life is go, 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 it can be really hard to sit back and understand the full gravity and power you hold. If you are a particularly humble person like the BTS members are, then you definitely are not as aware of the power you hold. If there's a group of people and a huge lot of people that are attempting to take you down, you have to realize how powerful you are as a person. That one person couldn't take you down. You needed hundreds or thousands of people to collectively band together to try to take you down. Think about how powerful they must be. Taehyung is currently on the tail end of that and definitely doesn't deserve to be taken down. People are writing pretty upsetting and disturbing things towards Taehyung, and there really isn't ever a reason to do it. Taehyung is getting hate from inside the fandom as well as people giving him hate that are not in the fandom. We recently talked about how it seemed Jungkook and Jimin shippers were attacking Taehyung because they didn't want Taehyung anywhere near Jimin and Jungkook, so sending death threats and that sort of thing. Recently, there also seemed to be people who were from other fandoms like Blackpink who decided to band together to attack Taehyung. A lot of Blinks were very upset over the whole V and Jennie situation because of the death threats that Jennie ended up getting. When dating rumors happen, the girl seems to always be the one that gets the bulk of the hate. So a lot of Blinks fought back and tried to even things out because they thought it was unfair. While this is definitely not the way to do it and even things out, I can understand a bit of frustration there. I was watching it even more recently online, and to be honest, it's kind of funny. Some fans are attacking Taehyung and trying to get armies to defend Taehyung so that that part of the fandom is distracted so that Blinks can go and vote harder for Blackpink. So Blackpink will win an award over BTS, given now is around award season. So this is funny because a lot of those people didn't even hate Taehyung. They just like Blackpink better and want the girls to win an award. Of course, this is not the entirety of the Blackpink fandom. Now, people think that Taehyung actually responded to what was going on. To be honest, he may know what is going on, but I don't think he cares that much. I think at this point in his career, he probably just tries not to read any of that stuff. Taehyung appeared at the airport to head over to Paris, and netizens were talking about the shirt that he decided to wear. It was definitely an interesting choice. I don't know if it was his choice, but these things are often picked by a stylist. But people had some conspiracies. Taehyung apparently wore a 1996 Green Day shirt. If you're unfamiliar with Green Day, they were more of an emo rock band. They peaked in popularity in the early 2000s, and they were definitely trendsetters. The shirt that Taehyung wore had the artwork that was called "God Told Me to Skin You Alive." The meaning of the artwork referred to haters, of course, and many people thought this was a direct response to the haters that Taehyung was getting recently, as it kind of lines up well with that. While that is a theory, I think a more likely theory is something else. It was rumored that Taehyung was going to Paris to film a music video or something to do with his solo work. This is also an extremely pivotal point of BTS's career. The idea of if the band will last past the military and what will each member do and what will HYBE's stock look like are all questions that are up in the air. Are they all either going to make history now or fade away? And interestingly enough, this was a pivotal point in Green Day's career, the era on the shirt. Green Day tried something completely new and different and went a different direction from what was expected. And the era actually sold over 10 million copies worldwide. This, instead of being the end of their career because they changed directions, actually launched them into the mainstream. Given that Taehyung could be going to Paris in a musical related situation, this second theory I just mentioned makes a lot more sense. And the shirt was likely never about haters. BTS is definitely facing some internal struggles with figuring out what to do or just even saying their goodbye. Jin mentioned that he will be on the front lines on his birthday, so he will be enlisting within the next few weeks, and this of course is a big deal for the group. This all comes at a really strange time, and the old saying goes, when it rains, it pours. I am sure Jin is also keeping with the headlines and articles coming out about Korea, and recently there have been a lot of missiles being fired off from North Korea, just because why not? And then apparently one missile actually landed right by the coast of South Korea. Sometimes this is all it takes, right? Like, country leaders are not going to assume it was an accident, especially since North Korea and South Korea have been having a Cold War for quite some time. This definitely freaked out a lot of armies because this is all happening at the time when Jin is enlisting. More than likely, if a war does break out, the country is going to choose from the most recent people they trained to get drafted. You're less likely to be drafted if you're already 50 and you served 30 years ago and don't even remember what training was like. Jin talked about being on the front lines, which is considered one of the more dangerous positions during war. I'm not entirely sure how, because I was aware that frontline meant Jin would be guarding a demilitarized zone, which should be the safest, right? Since there's no military equipment there and no war there. But people are saying this is the most dangerous. However, I think we should not worry here. First off, I don't entirely think South Korea will just be going to war. I think they will try to come to an agreement before any actual war breaks out. South Korea is very unhappy about it, but the last thing we need right now is another war. The economy is so bad right now. I honestly don't even think South Korea could afford a war right now. But even if that does happen, because let's say there's no choice, I also don't think Jin would be the first to be called. More than likely, when celebrities get enlisted, they aren't given the full training. As in, even if the celebrity just kind of phones it in or does it half-heartedly, the military team will likely just let it be. Whereas if it was a regular person, they'd push harder. So more than likely, the military would pick someone who they pushed harder rather than someone that is a celebrity. But that is just a theory of mine. I am very curious to hear your thoughts and feelings on all of this. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.